Hi guys, welcome to this episode of the Bhagavad Gita series curated by my sister Bhavna Didi and me, Amish. Today we're going to be discussing chapter 18, verse 78. So you guessed it right. This is the last shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. And this is how the shloka goes. Chapter 18, verse 78. Yatra yogeshvara krishno yatra partho dhanurdhara tatra shrir vijayo bhutir dhruva nitir matir mama. Didi, this was said by Sanjay.
Yes.
And if you can do the translation.
So probably Sanjay Uvach is being said by Rishi Vaishampayan.
Rishi Vaishampayan. Since it's an inception level conversation that's happening.
Yes. So
for those who may have missed it, it is King Janmajaya and Rishi Vaishampayan who are doing the original conversation. They are describing a conversation between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra, who in the Gita describe a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. It's an inception level, triple level conversation. Complex.
So cool. Okay, so in this last shloka of the Bhagavad Gita, Sanjay says, wherever there is Sri Krishna, the Lord of all yoga, and wherever there is Arjun, the supreme archer, there will be unending grandeur, victory, prosperity, and righteousness. Of this, I am certain.
So, before we get into expanding on this shloka itself and discussing it, here's one thing to be understood in the context of this shloka. Sanjay says this to King Dhritarashtra. This is in the Bhagavad Gita, so before the war began. And he is telling King Dhritarashtra that there is no doubt that where there is Lord Krishna and Arjun, there will be victory, there will be... Oh, it's a little harsh.
Truth teller. Sanjay is
truth teller.
Truth
he tells King
shower.
Dhritarashtra, yeah, truth shower.
And truth teller.
Your sons are going to lose.
Because the war is going to begin now. The Gita has ended.
It's a little tough, little harsh. But okay, moving on to the shloka itself.
So in this, Sanjay says, whenever the Lord of Yoga, the greatest master, and the archer, the greatest disciple meet, grandeur and victory is a certainty. An archer requires precision, focus, and most importantly, unlike all other warriors, an archer requires stillness. Like a shooter, actually. You know, a bit like a shooter.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you require stillness. And then Lord of all yoga, you know, the Lord of all unions, when they meet, there is grandeur. तो ये
Perfect master, perfect disciple.
ये Guru-Shishya Parampara हो गई ना?
But before the Guru-Shishya Parampara, I thought what you spoke about the characteristics, the habits of an archer, you know, is like a shooter. I found that very interesting. One is focus. There's something I'd learnt in my B school in IIM Calcutta. My marketing professor at that time had told me that focus is not about having clarity on what you will do. It is also about having clarity on what you will not do. You know, so remember when Arjun was being taught to shoot arrows, and you know, he could see only the eye, right? He couldn't see anything else. Whereas everyone else was seeing, you know, the trees, the skies, everything, right? He had that focus, which is clarity on what you see, but equally so, clarity on what you will not see, right?
And he carried it through to the Swayamvar, right?
Exactly. And the second thing was stillness. Now, perfect example of this was, you know, that that Turkish, that Olympic, I think it was gold medalist or silver medalist. Remember that guy, जो casually, you know, pocket में हाथ रख के ऐसे shoot कर रहा था, Yusuf Dukic or something, and I remember his pictures had gone viral. because everyone else needed, those blinders and, God knows things to, sound cancelling, headphones, God knows what not. This guy was just casually standing like that, hand in his pocket, and he had perfect stillness, right? So it can come from inside, and that is characteristic of anyone, not just someone who's a good athlete, but anyone who's a good competitor in any field of life. Stillness, focus, knowing what you have to do. So that Yusuf Dukic was like an Arjuna of Turkey.
So Yusuf probably was a shishya and not a chhatra. There's a difference, right? And Yusuf went to a guru, not an adhyapak. And Yusuf learned in a gurukul and not a pathshala.
Explain this concept.
differences?
Explain this concept.
So Guru Shishya it's quite different from आजकल गुरु शिष्य की परंपरा ही नहीं है आजकल
Except in Hindustani classical music and
probably
and
you
and
are right
and
you are right you are right
yeah, and Carnatic classical music. Yeah.
yes
Yeah.
yes so in the arts probably because
The arts that are still very Indian, that has not been corrupted by the Western
rooted
way. Yeah.
yeah because today what you have is adhyapaks teachers and you have students chhatras because in this relationship it's the teacher that's working hard
Yeah.
and the chhatra the student is a receiver
Yeah.
इनर्ट रिसीवर
Yeah.
हमें मेहनत नहीं करनी है मेहनत सब आपको करनी है आप टीचर हैं
Yeah.
which is very different from what it used to be in the past because the guru was still
Yeah.
the guru merely instructed and guided a bit the shishya did all the hard work
To try and pull out as much knowledge as he. I remember Dad had told me this, and he put it in a kind of simile. He said that today's attitude, he said, in schools, colleges, everywhere, where the student isn't even paying attention, probably throwing chalk, probably speaking to his or her, friends.
there
their
his or her नहीं there बोलो
Okay, their friends on the okay, their friends, on next to them, and the entire attitude is कि हाँ मैं तो ऐसे बैठा हूँ, तुम सिखा सकते हो तो सिखा दो, that's the attitude.
और अगर मैं नहीं सीखूं तो
तो
the fault
तुम्हारी
of the
गलती.
teachers
हाँ, it's a fault
Fault
of the
is the
teachers,
teachers,
and the parents will come and fight with the teachers, and the teacher has to almost hammer that knowledge in.
This happens even in dance lessons and tabla lessons today. You send your child to Shivani was telling me about this that Shivani Amish's wife is a trained professional Kathak dancer.
Yeah.
She dances beautifully and she's also taught Kathak.
Yeah.
So she was
She was a very good teacher. Now she makes me dance, but she was also a very good teacher.
But what she was saying is today's teachers are funneled into becoming adhyapaks.
Yeah.
क्योंकि शिष्य लगता है गुरु देखने के लिए.
Correct.
अगर शिष्य नहीं है तो गुरु हो भी इर्द गिर्द गुरु दिखते नहीं है.
Yeah, the students are completely passive. Like it's your job to somehow hammer that knowledge into me. I remember Dad had, I think he'd read it in one of our scriptures somewhere. He told me that the guru is like a river where knowledge is flowing strong, and your job as a student is try and pick up as much as you can, right? And it's your job to pick it up as a student. It's not the guru's job. Yeah.
So what is the chief characteristic that a shishya needs to be a shishya and not a chhatra?
The ability to be a disciple. The ability to truly listen and focus on the guru and be willing to draw as much as you can. Let me give you two examples and two videos that I'd seen. One was a video, one was a personal meeting. One was a video that I saw of Ustad Zakir Hussain, and an Indian treasure. Sadly we lost him recently, and he had said in a video, because luckily for him, his guru was also his father.
Yes.
And in those days, the
Alauddin
disciples, and what a teacher he was, Pandit Ravi Shankar, Ustad Zakir Hussain,
Annapurna Devi,
Annapurna Devi
Vilayat Khan.
herself, of course. Vilayat Khan. And for those who don't know the story of Annapurna Devi, I mean, just read. Okay. Perhaps the greatest Rudraveena player, at least of this century, of the 20th century. But anyway, coming back, Ustad Zakir Hussain had said this story that he was sitting and doing riyaz in his room, and his father was sitting outside, and he was playing something, and he made a slight mistake, and he assumed that his father wasn't listening, and his father could just hear that sound. He immediately said, "Ye kya kar rahe ho? Aise karo." And he said that was actually a teaching moment, right? And when the guru is listening to you, but you're hungry to draw that knowledge out. And another example was from Andre Agassi. I'd met him recently. There was a small kind of 10-15 of us who'd been given an opportunity to meet him. He was traveling through Mumbai. And he recounted something he'd said at an interview, that the characteristic of a good student is that when the teacher asks you to sit, you don't search for a chair, you just sit. And you must have that hunger and respect from your guru, because that's when you can draw as much knowledge out. And the thing to understand is that in this entire transaction, the person who benefits more is actually the student. So it's in his or her interest to draw as much as they can from a wise guru. Not have that attitude, as dad was saying, मैं बैठा हूँ, तुम सिखा सकते हो तो सिखा दो, नहीं सिखाया तो मैं, my mother and father will come and fight with you.
और हम किसी और को ढूंढ लेंगे.
हम किसी और को ढूंढ लेंगे. Yeah, that's not a good attitude.
नाचना आए आंगन टेढ़ा.
And what's a good attitude of a guru, of a teacher?
But before that,
Sorry.
What I also want to add is that, I'm funneling what you said into one word. A shishya requires humility. बहुत ज़रूरत है. ईगो को दरवाजे के बाहर रखो. Humility, एक वो essential ingredient है to be a disciple. And it brings to mind our culture of touching feet, na? पैर छुओ. तो it is, you asked me a very interesting question. तो गुरु में क्या चाहिए? तो that touching the feet का जो transaction है, it's perfect. क्योंकि शिष्य में चाहिए humility. And guru में चाहिए deserve and earn that humility. कोई पैर छू रहा है तो अपना पैर छुलाने लायक बनो.
You should be worthy of someone wanting to touch your feet.
Yeah.
Remember that story of Babaji, our grandfather, when the Kashi Naresh had come with his son. My grandfather was a teacher in our grandfather.
A guru.
He was a guru, actually. Yeah, he was a guru.
He wasn't an
He was a guru. He was a Pandit at Vishwanath Ji and used to teach at BHU. And he also, Banaras Hindu University, taught maths and physics. But he also used to teach young students. And the Kashi Naresh, the king of Varanasi, had come to Babaji's house with his son. And this story is, of course, legend in our family. Everyone knows it because the prince came and Babaji was sitting on his chair, and the prince sat next to Babaji on another chair. And our grandfather got so angry. He was livid because the Kashi Naresh was also there, and he actually said, "What will this fool learn from me? He doesn't know how to show respect to a guru. You're a student, sit on the ground."
And the king told the prince.
Sit on the ground. Get up and sit on the ground. And because that's how you teach, that's how you have humility towards a guru. It didn't matter if that guru was dirt poor and you were wealthy beyond imagination because you were a prince. That guru is still your teacher. Therefore, you will show respect.
So it's your dharma to respect a guru, the Shishya's dharma to respect a guru, and it is the guru's dharma to earn that respect.
Earn that respect and be such a great source of knowledge. Like Babaji was, that the Kashi Naresh was actually willing to tolerate the insult to his son because he knew that Pandit Babulal Tripathi was a good teacher. And that his son was a good guru. Sorry for correcting me again. I'm sorry for making that mistake again. but that he was a good guru and his child, his son would learn. So you have to be worthy of that respect. That is the ideal relationship that should be there. That's when the next generation actually learns a lot more,
Yeah.
unlike today.
And if you can crack that code, become a Shishya and find your Guru, then the result is grandeur, victory, prosperity, and righteousness.
Yeah. As they say, the guru is the one who leads you from darkness to light.
Yes.
Find a guru, be a good student. And if you are a guru, make sure you're worthy of a good student when the student appears. I think that's a great place. I don't think there's anything more to cover. I think we covered everything in all humility. That's a great place to end this episode of the Bhagavad Gita series. If you guys liked it, hit like and subscribe below so that you'll receive notifications for the next episode from Bhavna Didi and me. Namaste. Jai Shri Krishna.